Hi, thanks for joining me today. I'm Kenneth Ray, and I'm an SE here at Rubrik. Today I want to go through some of the steps you would take in order to allow Rubrik to begin managing the protection of the applications and data in your environment. I'll also show you how easily you can leverage the public cloud for long-term retention requirements and for providing a copy of your data in a geographically remote location. So upon initial login to Rubrik, the first thing you'll want to do is make Rubrik aware of your environment, such as the applications and the data you would like to protect. In this example, we'll assume your organization is fairly virtualized and currently leveraging VMware to provide that server and/or desktop virtualization. But also, maybe there are still some physical servers, maybe some physical servers hosting databases in your environment as well. So since your organization is heavily virtualized with VMware, you would want to make Rubrik aware of your vCenter servers, provide the appropriate credentials, and Rubrik will then discover all the VMs in your organization. Now that Rubrik is aware of your virtualization infrastructure, you want to specify the protection that aligns with your business requirements. In Rubrik, you do this by creating an SLA, which is a data protection policy. When you create an SLA, you specify the frequency of protection and the retention that aligns with your business requirements. You'll also see that you also specify where to physically retain this data. So when we go and create our SLA, we'll give it a name, and then we'll specify the frequency that we want to protect our data, and we'll specify the retention that we want to retain for that protection as well. We'll assume that there are some requirements in this organization for some long-term retention. When we go to configure remote settings, here's where we can specify an archive location. So if we want to actually leverage the public cloud, we can come in and select a public cloud location in order to archive this data, meet those long-term retention requirements, and also we're getting a copy of our data off to a remote location separate from the production environment. When I selected a archive location, a slide bar popped up that allows me to specify how long I would actually like to retain the data locally. So if I wanted to, I could specify maybe that I wanted to retain the data locally on the Rubrik for 30 days and then archive out for that remaining long-term retention out to this AWS cloud location. Now I could also select this checkbox, and this would allow me to instantly archive out to AWS. So not only would I have that copy day one, but I would also have that copy geographically remote out into the public cloud. Down below, you'll see that I can also select replication. So if I have a site B or a different site that also has Rubrik, I can also replicate the data offsite to that specific location. And I've got another slide bar where I can specify how long I would want to retain the data in that location. Maybe in this particular instance, I'll keep it a little longer and go, say, 40 days. So in this setup, I've specified that I'd like to take the data, keep it locally on the Rubrik for 30 days, but also archive that out for long-term retention requirements for out to 7 years, but also replicate it to a secondary site in my organization and keep that data over there for 40 days. I'll hit create. So I just created the SLA policy that matches my business requirements. And if you noticed, I didn't select a box to turn on encryption or one for deduplication or for compression. Rubrik will take care of doing all of those things for me. Next, I just need to associate servers and apps to that SLA, and Rubrik will begin ensuring that those workloads adhere to the protection outlined in the SLA. Now, in a VMware world, I can, if I wish, come to here and actually assign an entire vCenter environment to that SLA, so any existing or newly created VMs get assigned to that SLA. Or I can specify a folder or folders to assign to it, or even an individual VM if I wanted. I'll select an individual VM for now. I'll locate the VM. I'll hit Manage Protection, and here's where I'll just associate it with the SLA that I've just created. I'll hit Submit, and that will associate and assign that VM or all of the VMs under a folder with that specific SLA. At this point, Rubrik will do the rest to make sure those workloads are in compliance with that protection SLA, and Rubrik will orchestrate keeping a copy of that data locally, replicated remotely, and sent to the public cloud for long-term retention, just as stated and outlined in the SLA. Any other workloads we have in our environment can be assigned to the SLA exactly like I did with the VM, and Rubrik will protect those the same way. I'll go through the steps for recovery in the next video. Thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful.